give us a little insight into the new prime minister.
Okay, yes, Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. What's interesting is he's 49 years old, and in many ways it is fair to call him a protege of former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, Netanyahu can't stand him. He's gone to war against him, but let's put a couple facts on the table. Netanyahu recruited Naftali Bennett to be his chief of staff. You have to understand that Bennett served in the exact same special forces unit, the most elite in Israel. Our son served in an elite unit, but it wasn't as elite as this one. It's called Sayeret Matkal. It's the Delta force of Israel. You know, Bennett's 20 years behind in age, but Bibi Netanyahu saw, wow, that guy was a commando. He was a business leader. He built up high-tech businesses and then sold them, made $400 million on one of the deals. He comes from the center right. He gets this. We think the same on Iran. We think the same on trying to win the Arab nations over to make peace with Israel. Like, these two were peas in a pod. Mentor and protege. We're all followers of Jesus Christ here, so this will be an analogy you'll understand. Netanyahu has tremendous strength. I mean, the guy is a world statesman. I mean, we've never had an Israeli prime minister that was here. And anybody that came after him was going to be down here, because you're like, Naftali who? Netanyahu could pick up the phone and get Putin on, or Trump, or whomever, and he was moving history from a little tiny country. But Netanyahu is not a disciple maker. As he recruits people and mentors them, if they start gaining popularity, influence, a following, he's not happy about that, and he drives them off. And so I think Bennett really so deeply admires him that Netanyahu, that he tried in every possible way that I can see to try to build a government with Netanyahu, but it didn't work after 4 times, and so Bennett chose to go with the team that could put a government together, and they were offering him the prime ministership. He needs a lot of prayer, right? I'm not taking a position for or against. I just think if you're the prime minister, you need prayer. We need to pray for him. I will say that he and his team have reached out to me and said, how do we build relationships with evangelicals? That was sort of Bibi's province. That was his portfolio. None of the rest of us have really done it. So I said, sure, I'm happy to help where I can. Again, not as partisans, just to any believers unconditionally loving the leadership of Israel, just as we love the state of Israel. So that's the short version. But he's got literally a no seat margin of error in his coalition. If somebody has a bad falafel one night and doesn't come into work the next day, the government could fall. It could have fallen while we're sitting here. So need prayer.